Hello and welcome back to another episode of Reddit Recreations, your home for some chilled out vibes and some daily Reddit videos. Now this story is a big one, and it comes from r/relationships from the username Falling for Anon. And the title is The Aftermath of Being Cheated On While Pregnant. Ooh, that's a heavy title. Let's get into it. Warning, this post is long and trigger warning for infidelity below this point. Also, I've never used Reddit before and am not sure how it works beyond the stories I hear on TikTok, so this is an anonymous account for privacy reasons. In April, when I was 12 weeks pregnant, I found out that my husband had recently started cheating on me with a girl at his work and I still haven't gotten over it. I'm a 28-year-old female, he's a 28-year-old male. We've been married since summer of 2018. But together since summer of 2014. It's nearly our 9-year anniversary now, and I am currently 30 weeks pregnant with our first child. I always thought that if my partner ever cheated on me, I would be out the door in a hurry, because it's a type of disrespect I could never stand for. However, I never thought it would happen to me, let alone after I put 8.5 years into this man. Plus a house, 2 cars, 2 dogs, a cat, and a baby we both wanted for many years at that point. I know I'm more sensitive right now due to the pregnancy, but it's now August and I am so tired of waking up hurting every day. After I found out, I confronted him and he admitted that he had started sleeping with her and at the time had done so 3 times. I was in my first trimester and he knew how sick I'd been, literally spending all day every day throwing up. My morning sickness lasted until around dinner time usually, and sleeping. He has a job that has always kept him pretty busy, but he would always check in with me throughout the day. I work from home and am self-employed, making much less than him, but was something we had discussed in depth after the loss of my first pregnancy and agreed that me being home and dealing with the house and pets was something we should try. Plus, we both wanted me to be a psalm. Well, I don't know what that is. Plus, we both wanted me to be a psalm for whenever we did have a baby, so while I make less, it was something we fully agree on together. When he would check in, it was always so sweet. He called me in between meetings, on the road, driving any time he was free, and he would text me to announce his safe arrival every time he had to go anywhere. It was never a burden that I asked for him to check in, because we both just naturally wanted to talk to each other all during free moments in the day, which is how our relationship has been for the entire duration. There was no asking at all really, it's just how it was with us. Going back to the psalm, I don't know what a psalm is, I'm going to have a look at that quickly. I gave him another chance when I confronted him because I was so blindsided. It didn't make sense to me, and now it still doesn't. But I was 12 weeks along with a baby I'd been wishing for years. We struggled with conceiving after our first loss, years ago. And I had a vision in my head of our family that I just couldn't let go of. We agreed that he would go into work and end it with her the next morning, which he didn't think would be an issue because it was just sex, and they had no feelings involved. Let it be known that this girl knew about me, and I'd stepped in at his office many times for lunch visits with my husband, and he had photos of me on his computer/desk, so there were constant reminders that I was real for the both of them. He told me in later conversations that before the affair started, she would joke with him that I'm too hot for him, and she planned on stealing me away. She apparently is bi with a heavy lean towards women, and when my husband would talk about her before the affair, I was told she was a lesbian that he and all the guys at work, besides one, found highly unattractive. What happened when he ended it with her is, I guess she took it all right, left, and then a few hours later came back and begged him not to leave. He told me she was crying and clinging to him, and there was something about abandonment issues that I truthfully did not care about, fair enough, because I was his partner of almost 9 years and carrying his child. He told me he had ended it though. Next, he went to get tested. There was no crossover at all while this was going on, and he was clean. He showed me all the test results and it was an important stipulation, obviously. Wow. Got abandonment issues, so you're gonna try and steal a man away from his wife. You are causing the abandonment issues there, I'm afraid. For the next month, I watched him leave every morning and broke down as soon as he left, sometimes begging before he went to work for him to call in sick and stay home with me. I was a wreck. We had a vacation planned for months before coming up in May, and I somehow thought it would be good for us to get away and just be the two of us. I was counting down the seconds till that trip, keeping everything I was going through just to myself and quickly deteriorating. In that month I lost 22 pounds because I couldn't eat, and every time I did I would throw up. My husband watched me in agony, a complete shell of who I once was, trying to grow our child and not be able to stomach food literally at all. It got so bad that my whole face broke out in what looks like hives from how hard my body was trying to throw up when there was nothing left inside of me every day. Like little blood vessels popped all over my skin from sobbing and puking all day. How could you do this to this person you're supposed to love? I really hope the husband is actually looking at her and he is feeling absolutely disgusted with himself and what he's done. When it comes to cheating, the absolute betrayal of it towards someone you're supposed to love and care for, someone who's growing your child inside of you. I don't understand how you could do this to someone. One time is bad enough, but multiple times is 10 times worse, because you're going back to it. You're intentionally trying to do it as well. If you do it just as a mistake, that's already bad enough and worth divorcing over. But then to really stab the knife in and go back again and again and again, you claim to love this person. You can't when you do something like this to them. Oh, this is not a nice story so far. Let's hope it gets better. While he was showering one morning, I went into the bathroom to pee, and his phone was sitting on his pile of work clothes for when he got out. Oh, don't tell me this is going where I think it is. I grabbed it and brought it with me for a while I peed. Thinking it would be like every other time where I looked at his phone and found nothing. Instead, in his WhatsApp, there was a thread of messages with her from the night before. The day before was a long work day for him, something I dread even before the affair, because being apart from him for crazy hours made me miss him, but knew there was no way to avoid. I remember I had offered to bring him food for lunch, even though we lived an hour away from the office, and he told me not to worry about driving, that he'll bribe one of the guys into bringing him something so I don't have to waste the gas money. In reality, she was bringing him lunch, and he was texting her about it at the time he was texting me. Those texts haunt me so badly even now. She had told him, "I miss you," and he replied the same. So clearly they had only progressed more in the last month. When she was bringing him lunch, he told her, "I just want you and a burger." And then there were some hours later messages where they laughed about getting everyone out of the office inconspicuously, so they could be alone, and she said, "Now I get to have you." And reading those messages, 16 weeks pregnant and first thing in the morning, quite literally made me want to die. When confronted, he promised me that he didn't have sex, even though it sounded like it would happen in those messages, but that he's still been sleeping with her. Just not on that day, I guess. Cheating is bad enough on its own. No context, no nothing. "Oh, I was drunk, it was a mistake." That is bad enough and already worthy for a breakup. To then see your reaction and then continue to do it after seeing the way it's affected you, you can't possibly convince me that you care about this person. You just can't. Because no one could do that to someone they care about. Well, moving on. This was back in May. I left him the next day. Yes! Thank you. Let's start that again. I think I got a bit too excited there. This was back in May. I left him the next day after I confronted him again, and he admitted that he never actually stopped. Didn't even try to stop. He tried, and his story was half true, he says. That when he spoke with her, she came back crying and begging, and then apparently forced him into an empty office where she tried to go down on him. He promised me that he stopped her and shoved her away, but that she'd gotten his pants down and gotten close enough to touch him before he got away from her. Nothing happened that day, he swore to me, but that in his mind it was over then, because in our initial conversation I told him I would give him a second chance, but if he did this again I would leave him. He counted this as doing it again, even though when he broke down and told me this, it sounded more like she assaulted him while he was saying no, rather than him cheating another time. But he didn't see it that way at the time and thought I'd leave if he told me, and figured he might as well not stop. If I was just going to find out and leave him in the long run because he had already messed up. Wow. This man, I tell you what, well, we've got the Olympics in Paris coming up. Watch this man get the gold medal for mental gymnastics. That is some incredible leaps and jumps. So he's lied to you before. He told you he'll stop when he didn't. Then later on he's admitted that's a half lie and peppered in these probably half lies as well, half truths. So it's probably a quarter truth he told you before. Oh no, she cornered me in an office, pulled my pants down, and at that point I was like, well, not my fault anymore, is it? Yeah, I hate it when that happens. Always batting off women who are pushing me into cupboards and trying to pull my trousers down. It's tough, it does get difficult, you know. Now, fast forward to August. I've been living alone since May. I left him the day after I found out the second time, going to stay with my aunt for a few days with my dogs. I ended up coming back to the house and kicking him out, because it didn't seem fair to me that everyone besides him had to suffer. Me being pregnant and hauling around 2 6-year-old dogs who are very used to being homebodies. And they were confused and stopped eating due to the stress. Plus our cat, who is deeply bonded to me and is used to me being home with her all day, was now left alone while he was working for 10 plus hours. And all of our animals are friends. So it was really messed up for everyone but my husband, who was the one that did the wrong thing anyways. I mean, yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you went back to the house. That's something I have learnt from a lot of Reddit stories when you get like relationships, marriages, breakups, divorces. If it's going to be a messy one, make sure you stay in the house. Kick the other person out, because that can create, I don't know all the details, but later on down the line, whoever is still in the house has a bit more advantage in the legal battles, I think. So if there's ever anything like that, you stay in the house and you make them get out. Find a way. So now I'm 30 weeks pregnant, preparing to sell our house and move back into my dad's house, with the 3 animals and my daughter where she's born. I'm still so hurt. I really feel like this man was the love of my life and my soulmate. All of our friends who I've spoken to about a separation have been absolutely shocked due to how out of character this was for him. We were known as the couple that could handle anything together. My family was the same way, because of how wonderful my husband was to me for 8.5 years. He was so emotionally supportive and sweet, and I like to think I was to him as well. I lost my mum, who was my best friend, and we together lost our first baby, and he dealt with going no contact with his mother, and we were truly each other's rocks for so long throughout all of these moments, just to name a few. And I'm carrying his daughter, who I love deeply already. I know he hurt me and changed me as a person, but it's so incredibly hard to forget the years of happiness I had with him and see that they're seemingly over now. The bad thing is, I would probably take him back if he came to me and said all the right things and made the right promises and made me believe him. But instead, I live alone while growing this baby and taking care of the animals we picked and raised for 6 and 2 years together, dealing with this trauma by myself. And he is all but living with the girl he cheated on me with. Every time I drive past his apartment, her car is there. Sometimes, when even his car is gone, he promises that she doesn't have a key, and that when the baby is born, she won't get in the way of him being a father. She hates children and babies, cats and dogs, so clearly she's a super great person on top of knowingly sleeping with a married man. But at this point, it's been months of him knowing he's hurting me. We're still publicly married. His family has no idea of any of this. Only our mutual friends and my family know any of what's happening. Though not with all the details I put in this post. I should mention that when I did come face to face with this girl, only once, she laughed at what she had done, and when I told her that she broke apart my family and took my daughter's father away before she was even born, she literally shrugged and muttered, "Yeah, I know," while looking so smug about it. I only say this because I know people will say to not blame their affair partner, but only blame my husband, who was the one that broke his vows to me. But I fully blame them both. She knew what she was doing, and so did he. And she seems to like knowing how powerful she was in the situation. Well, yeah, absolutely. That response from the affair partner, my goodness me. There are devils in this world. There are evil, evil people in this world. That's probably what it all came down to, was just the power, the manipulation, loving to get a married man. And with any luck, she's going to move on from him very quickly, end up cheating on him. Because, a lot of times you settle down with your affair partner, the excitement of that affair, sneaking around behind your partner's back, they don't know that you're betraying them in the deepest way. That's so much fun, isn't it? And now it's all out in the open and you're still with the person. That excitement could be gone, and you could think, hang on, this is a terrible person I'm hooking up with. He tells me often that he doesn't want to end our relationship, but that right now he isn't right for me. That he cannot be who he was because he messed up so badly that he doesn't know how to fix it. Now he's going with monogamy just isn't for him, even though he and his affair partner are living together, recreating the life we had, living very obviously in monogamy currently. It hurts so much, because he's already replaced me with her. Some 20-year-old girl is sleeping beside my husband and having meals with him and sitting in his passenger seat. It just isn't how my life was supposed to go. I wish so much that I could stay firm on hating him, because trust me that I do. And I've had several hours over the last few months where I make sure he knows what he did to me and how much I hate him for ruining the woman I was before this betrayal. But I also love him still, and I want the family I was all but promised. We couldn't get pregnant for nearly 3 years, and the month I did get pregnant, I literally told him, if it doesn't happen for us, it doesn't happen. I want to be a mum, but if it's not in the cards, I will come to terms with it, and I know I can be fulfilled in our relationship without a baby. And then I shockingly did get pregnant, and I felt like it was all falling into place finally. That we would be happy and us, like I pictured, but now with a little baby we both daydreamed about for years. I'm really unsure how Reddit works, and I know this post is so long that no one probably read it. And I don't really know why I wrote it here anyways. I know in this situation he is in the wrong, and I don't need anyone to point it out to me. It's good to hear. And I also don't want anyone calling me names for still loving this man who has disrespected and mistreated me so immensely over the last 4 months. It's just coming up to our anniversary, and I'm desperately lonely in this quiet house that I now have to pack up all by myself, and I wanted a place to put my feelings. If you comment, please be nice. I feel stupid and weak enough as it is. I've been with him since we were both barely 19 and moved straight from my childhood home into an apartment with him. I've not spent a single adult year alone, and I'm just really sad all the time and I don't know what to do. I tried to go no contact with him, but we're selling a house and I'm in my 3rd trimester with his baby. I just hate him and I hate myself. I want him to wake up and see what he's doing, but I don't think he ever will because he has to avoid accountability of his actions. And it's not like I could ever trust him again anyways. But now I have to co-parent a child with him for the next several years. And I don't feel strong enough for any of the future anymore. I don't get how he could do this to me. Too long didn't read. I'm a sad pregnant lady who doesn't know how to move on from my husband of nearly a decade cheating on me. And I needed a place to share what I'm going through. Now, let's have a quick look in the comments here. Let's see, the top comment is from Rosebud2911 and says, I am so sorry, OP. My heart is so sore reading this. I know this is hard, but you seem strong and you will get through this. Take the time to grieve the loss of your marriage and the dream you had of it. I know you don't want any name calling of your husband, but please don't take him back. His betrayal is just horrible. His AP, affair partner, sounds evil. His comments about him not being monogamous and how you deserve better, he is only saying this to excuse his behaviour. You do deserve better, and one day he may realise what he did. You'll be living a better life and he'll be on the sidelines, sending lots of hugs and wishing you strength and blessings. Well, yeah, absolutely what they said. I do hope that, because you can't act this way and then never realise it, like surely, I would really hope that eventually he'd realise what a scumbag he's been. and maybe go crawling back. And I do hope if that happens, it's when OP is recovered and she's in a much better place, because it still seems like, despite everything, she might still accept him if he runs back to her now. So hopefully he waits till she recovers on her own and then he comes running back and she can just slam that door in his face. That would feel good. Well, I am going to leave it there. I'm going to pass it over to you guys. Please put in the comments your opinions on this story. It is a heartbreaking story, and I do hope that everything worked out well for her, which we can actually find out. There is an update posted yesterday. That's why I came onto this video. I clicked on that because it sounded like an interesting title, and then I saw it was an update, so I went to the original one. So stay tuned for tomorrow's episode, where I will be reading out the update from 10 months later. But thank you anyway for watching, and I will see you again next time. It was a very long story. My porridge is cold now. After what I've just read, that doesn't really feel like much of a problem, does it?